But 20 years in the Legion will make a boy a man. 20 years in the Legion and they will give you land. 20 years in the Legion, you'll always have a home. 20 years in the legions of Rome.
Good evening, Meridians. It's great to see everyone. Welcome to How Shit Works, the show where we look behind the curtains of how different things in Meridians work. I am one of your hosts. I am Ulrich. I am a knight, a pelican, and a royal peer, and I have opinions. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the one, the only, the Knight of Kittens, the bringer of joy, Sir Eric Martell.
Yes, that's me. Hi, everyone. I'm Sir Eric. I'm a knight and a landed baron. And like Ulrich, I have opinions. Tonight, we're joined by three special guests who are all kingdom officers in related social media fields. And we're going to take a deep dive into what aspects and challenges of their offices they faced and how they sort of work to solve those problems. If you're from another kingdom, we're specifically covering how things work in Meridians. So you need to understand that these will be specific to our kingdom. Our three guests tonight are the Honorable Lady Isabella de San Marco, who is our Kingdom Communications Officer, Dame Genevieve, oh dear, Alez Gavignon, Kingdom Social Media Officer, and the Honorable Lord Ian MacArthur, who does something with the webpage, I'm told. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Isabella. Oh, and this is Dee Dee.
Hi, Dee Dee.
Kitty.
Hi, Dee Dee.
Genevieve?
Hi, I'm Genevieve. I would take you to see my tortoise, but I'd have to walk and maybe later.
Hi, I'm Ian. I'm in my room with no animals.
How did you manage that?
I don't let them in here.
Having known you for 2 decades, I vehemently dispute that assertion that there are no animals in that room.
Hey.
Well, welcome all of you to the show. We're really glad and lucky to have you. Especially only because I didn't get to work with you, Ian. I want to tell the whole known world, especially our kingdom, what a godsend Isabella and Genevieve are to me as Kingdom Seneschal, and Dansette, who's SC name I always get wrong, and the Kingdom social Webministry that I had. Ian does a wonderful job too, but I worked directly with Isabella and Genevieve, and they were lifesavers more times than I can count. And right here, beginning in front of the entire kingdom, I want to say thank you both so very much. You're amazing to work with, and I appreciate both of you deeply. All right, so now that the socket bit's over, tonight's drinking game words. Thanks to the Honorable Lord Ian, I have Facebook. That will cause me to drink all night long. I have Virtual by Dame Genevieve, which will cause me to drink all night long. And then I have Platform by the wonderful Baroness Isabella, which will cause me to drink a chunk, because I know how her answers are going to go a bit. But anyway, remember everyone that the drinking game, as always, is an opt-in drinking game. You do not have to participate unless you want. And it doesn't have to be alcohol if you do decide to play. For the record, in honor of Gulf Force, I'll be drinking bog chocolate out of my wonderful Please Touch pottery mug. And as always, we'd like to thank the 22 Peers for allowing us to be a licensed franchisee of their drinking game. The last portion of the show is, as always, is about live feed questions from the audience. So get those questions into the chat, and we'll make sure that we get those covered at the end of the show.
Well, why don't we get started and get everybody a chance to ask as many questions as possible? So for our first question, we're going to go with, what are each of your responsibilities in this wizarding world of ESCA? And I probably should have worn my Hogwarts robes for this. Isabella?
So communications is kind of just, we kind of oversee all of it. Social media, a little bit of the web, official statements, things like that, are normally, hopefully, ran through my office before they are put out there. But obviously, sometimes it doesn't happen. But we just kind of keep a tab on all the official things that are going down that come out through the kingdom. So.
Social media is okay. Just make sure I wasn't muted. Social media, their office. We're over all of the platforms. Drink, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Making sure that the public-facing presence of the kingdom and individual local groups are always held in a positive light, and that we're following society policy.
So my job is more of a kind of a background thing when it comes to the ESCA. I don't have to deal with Facebook necessarily, Drink. My platform, Drink, is virtually, Drink, the web page and getting out information as best as we can. That's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot going on at my level, as far as that goes. I make sure that the information that is updated is reported as quickly as possible and accurate.
Thank you. Rest in peace, Ulrich Liver.
Yes. Ian, you, sir, are a motherfucker.
But you like me, sir.
I do. I can't explain it, and yet I do like you.
Yes.
I did mention this is bog chocolate, right? Oh my God.
We are about to die. Salute you.
Apparently. All right. So, are there specific qualifications for your positions? You know, I assume you need to be able to navigate the internet at a minimum, and I know that all of you can rather well. But you know, when you're getting the job descriptions of your job, is that in there, or is it just, you know, we need a warm body to fill this role, and this person understands what Facebook actually is?
Right. Drink.
It's a little bit. Mine is a newer position. I'm only the second person to hold it. The first person didn't hold it that long, so it's more of a. We both came from a social media background, doing the Facebook and Instagram, and making sure that the information is out there and that it's clear. So I guess kind of following in that footsteps. Genevieve is my deputy. She takes over in 2 weeks, going from social media to communications. So I would have to say, yes, you do need a strong footing in social media. I would suggest, doing it at a local level and then coming up to the kingdom level. And then if you're still interested, keep going, because you just see so much that it just makes, in my opinion, better sense if you know what's going on in the background at local levels, kingdom levels, before you get up here.
Yeah, Isabella is completely correct. Having knowledge of the platforms, even if you're not super into them, like I'm not an Instagram person or a Twitter person, but I know Facebook really well. And one of the other things that's really important for any kingdom level officer, especially in the communication world, is diplomacy. You have to be able to communicate clearly and not let yourself fall into the middle of everything, and be able to kind of set your own feelings aside sometimes so you don't get in your feels and show your ass. Because sometimes you want to.
You have to be a neutral party. You have to be able to put your personal stuff to the side and say, okay, I don't agree with that, but this is what the rules say, or I do agree with that, but this is what the rules say. So, my personal opinion is not valid right now. And some people have a hard time with that. But, and people read written word the way that they read it. So, sometimes it might come off as wrong, depending on how anybody reads, whatever you put out there. So that's a big thing too.
Yep. Tone is virtually impossible to determine from just text. So to add on to that, yes, for my position, yes, you have to know how to navigate the internet a little bit. My recommendation is to be a web minister. You need to know how web pages work. You need to know the basics of website building. Here in our kingdom, we use WordPress as a platform. And it's helpful to know that. And if you don't know that, the great thing about it is that there's plenty of people that know it. There's lots of tutorials on YouTube, and WordPress.org has some fantastic information for you to learn those things. And you can always contact me or any of my deputies. We are here to help you. That is our primary goal, to make sure everybody's trained up and understands the basics of how to build web pages, how to get that information out to your group. And then if you want to move up in the kingdom, and it's really helpful for you to know how to do that and then get up to this level, because I started as a local web minister, and God help us all, now I'm the kingdom web minister.
And doing a damn fine job.
I have good people. I have fantastic people that keep me on task. So
The key to every office.
So, speaking of the offices, how do you decide how is the process rather for deciding who gets to be the holder of your particular individual offices?
Like I said, mine's newer. There really hasn't been a precedent, I guess. The person who held it before me, I was the social media officer, and she just asked me to take over communications. So I said, okay. And then when it came time for me to get deputy, I asked Genevieve, I was like, do you want to be my deputy? And she was like, I guess. So it's kind of how
There
mine
might have been
works.
some beer involved in that conversation.
Maybe, probably. I'm glad I'm drinking water right now.
For me, whenever I went to select my deputy, I had been watching the different local level officers and how they handle themselves, reporting, how they use the different platforms to get information out. And I actually approached my deputy and asked her to be my replacement deputy. And she agreed, so she'll be taking over in a couple weeks once we fill out the paperwork. And that's Baroness Emelina out of South Downs. So yay. There's not an official process in place for selecting social media deputies other than Lindsay and I, and before Emelina, it was Lynn. We would all have a conversation and, bounce back and forth on resumes together to see what we thought and how well we knew the different people to make sure that they mesh well, because social media has to be a tight-knit team, because how much work it can be in the middle of the night if something explodes. So everybody the personalities have to mesh.
For example, if the Kingdom Seneschal emails you or messages you at midnight saying take this post down.
Yeah, and hope that somebody's up to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Luckily, all you guys are night owls for the most part.
Not me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. That I've been there. I think I've messaged Genevieve before, like, have you seen this? And she was like, I'm already on it. So the selection for being the Kingdom Web Minister, Dancet kind of suckered me into it. I mean, no, she approached me and asked me to apply. And I did, and there were several other people that applied. And I was the one that was selected. But I also had to talk to the Society Web Minister and kind of get an okay from them as well. So I'd say it's a little bit more formal. I mean, there's no ritual of like eating 50 wings at varying degrees of hot sauce or whatever until your like mouth's on fire and you say, please God for the love, yes, I'll take the job. No, but yeah, it's
Can we do that though?
I mean, we should totally do that on social media.
Absolutely.
When we get back to in-person events, when we get back to in-person activities, I think that's a viable option.
But yeah, it's more of a process. I would say I'm going to put out a call for deputies. People will send applications to me. I will go over the applications and look, and I will talk to each one of them. I will then also make my decision, bring them in front of the Society Web Minister. We'll have a conversation and then go from there. And of course, I want the Crown. We obviously want the Crown involved as well. Want to get their approval. Hey, this person is going to be in at the next level, as well as the Kingdom Seneschal, because we all have to work together. It's very important to me as far as the level of transparency with this position because of all the things that has to go on with it.
No, that's valid. So, what's the hierarchy in each of your offices? Who do you report to? How does the reporting work, and how does the reporting work going to you, and how does the reporting work coming from you to society or wherever it goes?
I mean, right now I don't really report to anybody that I know of that I'm supposed to because it's still such a new position. So more so social media keeps me in the loop of what's going on when things happen and stuff I need to be aware of, or if I need to back them up with anything. But other than that, there's no reports from my office right now. I don't know if that's going to change in the future, but as of right now, it's just kind of, we're here. What do you need? So.
Right. I'm going to add on to that question. How long have each of you been in your offices?
3 years.
Instantaneous math.
3 years? Yeah.
3 years.
Oh, you two have both been in your office longer than 3 years because you stepped up before I stepped up as Kingdom Seneschal, and that was at least 3.5 years ago.
April's 3 years because it was at Dalla and Thorsten's coronation.
Mm-hmm.
And Isabella was before that.
I stepped up as Kingdom Web Minister in June of last year, the end of June.
Okay.
So
you'll be here for a while.
Been doing my entire SCA career, so I don't know. It all just blends together after a while. Let's be real here. I do know the first time we ever live broadcasted a Crown List was the one that Ulrich won.
Oh, sorry. I'll try to do better.
So, and I think we've only missed maybe 2 since. So.
What was the question?
I knew that was going to happen. I threw you guys a curve. Sorry. It was.
Who do I report to?
Who do you report to, and who all reports to you?
Okay, so social media is kind of weird. We have, on a kingdom level, communications and Seneschal. And then on the society level, we have a society social media officer. We do reports quarterly. on the 15th of the month before the quarterly bod meeting. So that's today. And then I have the local offices report on the 5th of the month before I do my report on the 15th.
So I report to the Society Webministry. I copy the Kingdom Seneschal on my reports. I have, when I stepped up, right before I stepped up, I was the replacement deputy, and we had a warrant deputy and a reporting deputy. And now I've changed the structure of the office to where I have regional deputies that take care of a series of groups, and they get their reports from their groups, and then they submit them to me. And two of those people are actually, one was the former warrant deputy and one was the former reporting deputy. So you'll see them post sometimes on the Kingdom Facebook page, right? Asking for those reports. It's quarterly. Might make it more often, depending. There's some things that I need to smooth out, but that's coming down the road. So,
Ooh, a teaser.
So it's obvious that you have paperwork of some sort in these positions. What is the paperwork like? In other words, what does it contain that you have to send up, that comes up to you, and then you send on to a society? For those of you that do have paperwork.
Well, Isabetta's paperwork is all release forms, but
Yeah.
we don't send them anywhere. We just keep them on file for legal reasons.
we don't actually have any paperwork, as well as, I mean, our reporting is all electronic, obviously, for the web. You just,
I'm old school. I said paperwork. Whatever form that you use.
Right. It can be virtual. It can be done through Facebook messaging or any other platform. Let's just call it paperwork.
Eric, you absolute twat waffle.
The only
that's
other
my
thing I
Baron.
keep track of, and this is just what I do, is if we deny somebody entrance to the Facebook group for some reason, because it's like, for instance, a couple years ago, we had a problem with, where were they from, Kayla? Thailand, I think, or something.
Yeah, Thailand or something. The spam
They were
bots.
joining groups and then spamming them and getting the groups taken down. So anybody that came through from, unfortunately, that area, we went ahead and denied them, but we screenshot them. And so I keep a database of everybody that we've denied for whatever. So we have that. So.
Yeah, and our reporting for the social media office is just a Google form with a few questions. Who are you? What issues are you facing? What questions do you have? What do you need help with? And we've got a Facebook group for the social media deputies where we communicate things that come down from society, such as X person has been banished. Make sure they're not on your social media outlets or any platforms. We also, with the advent of additional policies being put into place, we have, records of person X received a warning for doing something, and then we've got it set in a Google Drive so it's in a secure location that can be accessed by the needed individuals.
So ours is pretty much the same thing. We want to know, what's going on in the local group, if there's been anything that's been changed, any updates, plans to make the information more accessible, any design changes, ideas, questions, trouble that they might be having. they can't figure out a certain sort of thing. And then, of course, I submit that information to my counterpart, my challenges that I'm having. And it's basically for our reporting, it's more along the lines of kind of like troubleshooting and advice. Like, this is what's going on. Maybe, could get a little bit of advice on how to turn this a little bit better, or is there any other better practices? And then, of course, there is a Society Webministers Slack channel that all the Kingdom Webministers are a part of, and we go in there and we talk about different things, different projects that we're working on each of our platforms. And we also have a Facebook group for the Webministers for the Kingdom. I delineate, I tell them, like, hey, it's okay to upgrade to this new version, or don't upgrade to this new version. Hey, your reports are due, that sort of thing. So we use lots of different things.
Cool. So don't forget, out there in the audience, please don't forget your live feed questions. Whatever you put in the chat, Graf and Katarina is taking note of them, and we'll ask them when we get done with our regular line of questioning. But you guys' answers actually melded well into my next question, which is, so I know in the beginning these offices were a little bit like the Wild Wild West, and each kingdom kind of did their own thing, each group did their own thing. It's like, hey, we've got a website, hey, we've got a social media group. I know it's not still that way, but are there actually better guidelines to follow? I know you guys have written some stuff, you got something from Society on a few things, but how much better has it gotten on some of those fronts on those platforms?
It's gotten a lot better than it was, 6-7 years ago. There's actual like rules now, and it's just not kind of, okay, well, I think we're going to do this, or, change it to this, or there's actual, in written now. So it's helped a lot, and it's easier now when someone breaks said rules, and you can be like, no, here it is right here from Society. Don't do it again, please. 3 strikes. So.
Yeah, the evolution has been something to behold with everything that's happened, even in the past 4 years since the social media policy came out and was published by Society. Isabella and I worked together to add some more kingdom-specific things that met with our concerns. And the Society now is they formed a social media committee to review different guidelines for different platforms, to give better guidance, especially with everything that has happened since the COVID pandemic started, and to offer guidance and support for the social media officers when they run into issues that may not have been as clearly outlined or defined in the original iteration of the policy.
I mean, we have progressed a long way in terms of the web over many years, but there's some things that are definitely different than they used to be. One of the things that the guidelines are for is we're trying to make things easy for everyone and keep things similar, uniform across the entire platform. There were days before when you would see web pages, they would sprout up and it'd just be this little splash page of nothing with flashing lights and music and scrolling stuff at the bottom of GeoCities. And those days one, those days were horrible, and 2, those days are over. You can't just put up a web page, even whether it's WordPress or God forbid Joomla or whatever, all these different types of things that you can build on, and just leave it. You need firewalls, you need spam protectors and things like that to keep your data safe. And those are tools that we make sure that all the web ministers at the local level know how to get them installed. And if they don't, we help them out with that. So, but there are directives, guidelines of how things should run at the society level, and they're different for every kingdom of how they're organized, obviously. But like all handbooks, society can be this way, and we can be more restrictive as to what we want, but we can't be less than what society deals down to us. Society does not mandate a uniform platform for all kingdoms. They give us at the kingdom level the decision-making power on that of how we want to handle it. So I made the decision along with Dan Set, because we had a long discussion about it. Before I stepped up, we wanted a uniform platform for everyone to make it easier. So that way, when you are at the local level and learn how to do the job, you will know how to do it. If you come up to this job, you'll already know.
The GeoCity days were amazing. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Right. Jose Cuervo and I had a lot of fun times then.
Platform, Facebook, virtual.
Oh, I love you, Genevieve.
Touche.
Whoever doesn't. So, given that you have some better policies and help from corporate, which I assume is true, has there been much pushback from longtime local officials who are used to doing it their own way? And if so, how have you been able to handle that? If you can tell us.
There's always that guy.
Yeah. There's always people, well, that's not the way that we've always done it. Well, things change. You have to roll with the punches. You got to roll with the changes. And unfortunately, that's just not going to fly anymore. And it's just not what they want to hear sometimes. So.
Diplomacy. Platform.
Per my last email. So, yes, I have encountered that. But yes, diplomacy is important. We have to change at some point. And while not all change is great, certain changes are definitely better. The move to the new email system, far better than what we had. We were getting, for those people that did not know, with the email that we had, we would get people that were trying to communicate with their kingdom officers that it was just bouncing for no reason. And we would contact the server and we would ask them to run tracing on it and to see, hey, why is this losing it? We would check the mail domain records to see what was wrong, if there was anything that was errored in that. And there wasn't. There was no understandable reason why certain people, for whatever reason, couldn't email the seneschal for the kingdom. And that was a problem. And so, it was brought to our attention. Google for Nonprofits is a free platform for us to use if we can get it through a company called TechSoup. They worked with us using our nonprofit status. We have access to essentially 20 terabytes of storage on Google Drives and shared Google Drives for the kingdom. We have as many email addresses as I want to create. And each one of those email accounts gets a 30 gig personal drive and a 30 gig shared drive. Well, they can get a shared drive, as many shared drives as I want to create, but obviously a maximum of 20 terabytes. I don't think, even with all the Herald's reports that want to be stored on the server or any graphics, we're not gonna touch that anytime soon. And if it gets to that point, we'll cross that bridge or burn it when we come to it. So yeah, with local groups, they wanted to keep one of the things they wanted to keep was their forwarders. I took that out. Biggest issue with forwarders that some people don't understand is that we don't want your personal information floating out there any more than it already is. So you have person A, person B. Person A sends email to person B. Person B gets their email forwarded to them at their address, which is part C. And then they respond from their personal email address, and it goes back to A. B is where everything is supposed to be stored, but it's not getting that component. And the only way that it'll get it is if you reply all. And we're always taught, don't reply all. So it never keeps it. So we don't have a record of that information. And so the continuity of data is broken. And therefore, if you need to prove something, especially in, say, something like an investigation, where is it? Is it, well, it's not from anything official. It's from somebody's personal email address to a personal email address. How do we know it's not tampered with? All these questions people have asked me before. So it's better to have one system, one location where things are, you log in, you access your email just like you would Gmail. It's very simple, but none of your personal information is on it at all. Your name, like my name on the email is, my first name is Meridies. My last name is Webministry. My real name is nowhere in there whatsoever. So, and neither is any officer. The officers have, if they're kingdom level officer, it's Meridies, then the name of their office. That's how it's listed as your first and last name. So anybody that's concerned about Google tracking them, stealing their information, using it for nefarious purposes, like showing you weird ads on Facebook, you know, it's not
That's
happening.
your own search history.
Thank you.
Sounds like a
That's
good
your
platform.
own search history there.
Yeah.
We need a social media officer for Wish.
Oh. I'm going to put forth Mistress Alien for that.
You going to volunteer her?
I think she'd do a bang-up job.
I think she would too.
That's a good word choice.
Right? So, I know you have deputies. What are all your specific deputies? Not all of them, but what do your deputies do for you?
I have Genevieve. She runs social media.
Ta-da!
That's basically it for me.
It's a big one.
I used to have a handful of them, but some of them moved out of Kingdom. Annika. And some of them got married. Angrat. So now I have Emelina and kind of, sort of, Isabetta. And we basically just use each other as a sounding board. If there's something we need to communicate and say or respond to, we tone police each other to make sure we're not in our feels when we respond.
We come off diplomatic.
That's an excellent word choice.
Diplomatic mission to Alderaan kind of thing.
I mean, could blow it up.
I have 3 regionals as far as my deputies, and they basically are like a communication point between the local groups and myself. Although I have an open door policy, any of the local web ministers can come and talk to me about anything. I have a weekly room with Mistress Ellen DeLacy on Tuesday nights, so I'll be there tomorrow night from 7 to 9. Those are my office hours. So anybody that has any problems, any questions, any concerns, and they don't have to be web ministers. It can be anybody. They can come to me with suggestions. I take those as well. But then, of course, I also have a special projects deputy. I'm actually getting another special projects deputy now that Arbor has been retired. So my deputies are Lord Freybjorn, who is the Eastern Regional. I have the Honorable Lady Juliana Virtual, who is my southern region, and Lady Asa Stiarna, who is my northern regional. I also have a royal liaison web minister who makes sure that the royal and heirs pages are up to snuff, and passwords are changed and things like that. And that's Lord Martin. And then I have the Honorable Lady Drusilla Vitruvia, who is my special projects deputy, and Lord Wolfgar of East Anglia, who was the Arbor Herald. He is stepping into a special projects deputy with the web ministry to help me out, and I've got to get him some access here soon. But we finalized that just a couple days ago. So
awesome. And a quick follow-up before Eric goes on to the next thing. If I wanted to be a deputy, or if someone wanted to be a deputy to one of your offices, how would we go about asking you about that? How do you volunteer to help you people? Because you all need more help.
That was a little sinister.
I mean, I would honestly say just come talk to us in person. Like, social media is not an easy job. Everyone thinks you just peruse Facebook all day. It's not what it is. It's not. And I would honestly say start local. Start with your local group. Like, work your way up and see if it's something you really want to do first, because it is a lot of work. And I can say that for doing it for 10 years, 9, I don't know, however long it's been at this point. It will wear you out in a heartbeat. And a lot of people don't realize how much it will wear you out and how much it will wear you down, and how much at the end of the day you're like, I hate this, but I got to do it. Like, there's no off switch. There's no, you'll wake up to 15, 20 notifications on Facebook because something happened. And it's like, me, I get up at 3:30 in the morning. That's the first thing I see. And I'm just like, can I have breakfast first? But, you keep trucking through it. So honestly, I would say talk local level first and then work your way up, because it's not all puppies and rainbows.
What she said.
absolutely what she said. Get your feet wet locally. Don't try and come guns blazing into a kingdom level position. That's folly and insanity.
For social media, I don't know how it is for web, but social media, it's not a glory position. You're not doing it to be seen. You're not doing it to make a name for yourself. You're not doing it for the cookies. You're doing it because no one else really would at that point. And it's a lot. It's a lot.
I just want to say 3:30 in the morning, bless you. Oh my God.
Yeah. So those answers dovetail pretty nicely into the next question. Now, it's pretty obvious that the workload for your offices has really exploded over the past year, given the pandemic, and that pretty much online, virtual type events are the only things that people have been able to do. So what is the most difficult part of your job that isn't caused by me or Wistrick? And how have you handled the switch to virtual SCA?
We've come across so much stuff that it's just kind of hard to say. I think, I don't know. I have to think about this, honestly.
Okay, we can come back to you.
Probably the most difficult part has been seeing my friends that are on both sides of the spectrum in everything have disagreements and not be able to stop it. I have to be diplomatic to both sides. I can't say, hey, Martell, you're being an idiot. Even though sometimes I want to say, hey, Martell, you're being an idiot.
You can tell me, I'll tell him. I'll
That's
tell him. Just let me know.
Gwen
Send me a
will
message.
definitely be down for it.
As an example. It's not a
I know.
specific example, just as an example.
Right, but you can just send me the message. I'll still tell him. It's fine.
Okay. Thanks. You got my back. But yeah, just everything going virtual put a lot of pressure on a lot of different fields, but we've had a lot of people who took that pressure and just ran with it, like Jessica Vosprey and Ellen DeLacy made virtual courts a thing in Meridies. Without them, we wouldn't be number one in the SCA for virtual courts.
Here, here.
Yeah.
It was a big learning curve too, like, because we did a lot of stuff with social media, but not to the degree of everybody being locked at home. Like, it was a big, like, okay, how can we make this work, you know? And like Kayla said, or Genevieve said, you know, Ellen DeLacy and Jessica Osprey stepped up when we needed them, and it's made our jobs that much easier. So
I mean, the most difficult part for I think any of us is that our jobs never stopped. Like everything else kind of ground to a halt in the SCA for the most part at the very beginning, but ours didn't, and it increased exponentially. And that was very difficult to deal with. And like Genevieve, you know, being on Facebook as much as I have been, because I feel like it's an integral thing to everything that we do at the Webministry as well. The two should work well together. That's how they're made. It's not one or the other. But seeing that divisiveness was very difficult. And we've had a lot to deal with as far as people have very specific opinions, not unlike some of us here in this show today. We have very specific opinions about how things should be, or how things are, or how we want them to be. And over time, sometimes you lose a little bit of what I like to say, you lose a little bit of focus on how to communicate that in this realm, because of the isolation that we've all had to deal with. For those of us in the military that we were in the Navy or the Marines, where we were out in the field for 3 or 4 months at a time, or deployed on a ship, you're isolated, but not really. But it kind of gives you a little bit of an edge. I kind of have that a little bit, but still, to not be able to have a normal interaction with someone where you actually see them on a regular basis like you used to, it sucks. And that really is the loss of connection. That's what I think is the most difficult thing.
So with the explosion of the ESCA and virtual courts and streaming events and things that we're doing to make life easier during this time, how do you see the ESCA changing over the next year and beyond, and even changing the regular SCA?
I think that once we can start having events again and people can start going out, I think it'll end up being probably a blend of both, honestly. We've proven that we can do online courts. We've proven that we can, stream crown lists. So I've got a feeling that if social media is up to it, we might be able to do, stream courts for people that can't go or still don't feel comfortable going, with the virus still going out and stuff, and people that aren't vaccinated. And so I've got a good feeling that it will be a decent blend of both. And, hopefully that it will make more people comfortable. And be able to rejoin at their leisure.
Yeah, I definitely think we're going to see an uptick in virtual courts in the future, in being able to still have that connection even if we can't necessarily go out. Some folks cannot get the vaccine, so they'll be behind the curve on attending events. And I think if we can continue to broadcast our courts for at least a period of time and then maybe forever, I think that'll be really good. And having that as an option, even in person, even if we don't do it, on Facebook, it will help with being able to physically distance still at events.
Right.
If we can have some kind of tech to where the crown can be heard in the back of the room. And I think having proven that we can do this kind of thing will help benefit those that need the ability to be able to have these accommodations made.
I think what they've both said is absolutely correct. I think that also something that the ESCA has done that we haven't really acknowledged is that we had a lot of people that started to show up to virtual events after this whole lockdown happened, and these were people that have been wanting to be involved, but for one reason or another, because of their health, in general, haven't been able to come out. Whether it's their mobility, or they have a serious illness that they can't take the risk of going to a large event like a Gulf Wars or an MGT where there's that many people around them, and they're just they're immune compromised or something. This has given them the opportunity to play with us, and that's so important for their inclusion as well, because there are people that don't get a chance to come to these events that have a lot of the same loves of the Middle Ages that we all share, and we don't see them, so they're out of sight, out of mind. And now they have a window to where they can be a part, and I think that's great. A lot of us don't particularly care for ESCA. I mean, I'm one of them. I'm not going to make any apologies over it. I rather would go to an event. I would rather sit around a fire, but I do realize that there is a need for this sort of thing, and I think it's important that we try to continue it on some level, maybe not to the excess that it is now, because obviously this is all we can do, but we want to keep that accessibility for those people, because they're like-minded individuals, even though their bodies won't allow them to join us in the things that we love to do. So.
Okay, so before I go with the scripted question, and I promised myself I was going to try not to ask an unscripted one or anything controversial, but
I don't believe it.
But the responses to the last one actually dovetailed into something that people have been saying, and they don't actually want to say to people because they think they'll get scolded for it. And since I don't care, I'm willing to do that. There are a significant number of people, at least judging by the people who complain about it to me. So maybe you can make that stop. That the prevalence of the ESCA and the continuation of it forward to the degree that it might appear to be will exacerbate what they believe is a growing tendency in the SCA to move it towards a single-player game. How do you respond to that?
A single-player game. You can just play it from home.
I have Skyrim for that.
No.
It's a thing. It's a real thing that a lot of people think. And so, like, I realize I put you on the spot here, and like, saying I don't know is a perfectly valid answer because it's a complicated question. Yeah. And it's not bad for not knowing because I don't know the answer, but I understand the concern.
Let's clear up what you mean by single player game. You mean that something that you can play from home and you don't have to interact with other people, right?
Right. You really don't have to interact with other people. You really don't have to do anything to work collaboratively with them. And I understand that in your offices, you do exactly that, but not everyone is in your offices. I see the fear, even if I don't necessarily believe it.
I don't think we'd ever go that way because we like to hit each other with sticks and drink together.
Right.
I mean, that's part of it.
So like,
that's so weird. Like, I don't understand the position. I know that there's some people that feel like, this modern stuff is killing the SCA because we absolutely don't want to deal with all this modernization. Look, modernization is things that help us do the things that we love. We all work at a modern job and we have our phones that help us get to events, and we have the web pages and Facebook and all these other platforms, and damn it, I'm going to drink. We have all these things that are there that have been there for years.
And virtually drinking.
And virtually drinking, yes. We've had all these things for years. And they are a part of not just our lives, but the children that you've had. For these older people that are ornery, yes, well, not all of us. Ladies, you're not old. But I'm going to say, oh, God damn it, Ulrich. I'm old. But Sir Eric is older than all of us. So we need to not be the grumpy old people at the event going, damn it, the golden age is over. Because this is how the SCA dies.
Back in my day. Sorry.
Yes, when I was whatever.
You're still whatever.
Yeah, the situation is that we have to change and evolve as society changes and evolves. If that's what we're called, the Society for Creative Anachronism. If they had all the stuff that we have now back in the Middle Ages, are you trying to tell me that they wouldn't take advantage of any of it? You're high.
You're
absolutely high.
But I appreciate the offer. So I'm going to roll to the next. I'm going to roll to the next question because it's in the script, and I really should try to stick to that as much as humanly possible. But first, I want to remind us of the name of the kitty again, Isabetta.
This is Meowstopheles, aka Meow.
Meowstopheles.
Meowstopheles.
Oh, well, aren't you a sweetie?
He has a little bow tie on for tonight.
Well, we appreciate his dressing up for us.
Very formal.
So the next question is a multi-part question, which we're famous for, and I'm sort of going to try to condense it down into so that you can answer each segment as a total answer. So what takes up most of your time and energy? And what do you find most frustrating and most rewarding?
I think what takes up the most time for me is just having to check posts to make sure that they are non-derogatory, and try to make sure that it's not what's the word I'm looking for? I guess not messing with any guidelines. It's not the word I want, but I have a very high-paced job anyways, so having to do that in the middle of the day too, sometimes it's just not feasible. It's good that we have a good team behind us that can pick it up when one of us can't. That probably takes up the most time out of anything. Honestly, What was the other half of the question? I'm sorry.
What do you find the most frustrating and the most rewarding? And I bet you they dovetail kind of with the first part.
The most rewarding, I think the most rewarding that I find our office is being able to live stream things for people that can't necessarily be there, like a crown list or a court. You know, those things. It helps people that are at home stay involved, and I think to me that means more than anything is to help reach people that can't be there because they can't go physically, or it's too far away, or they can't afford it. Like, I think to me that's the most rewarding, is being able to see what your friends are seeing and being able to talk with them, but necessarily you're not there. So
Yeah, Isabetta's 100% right when she says that one of the most frustrating things is having to approve all the posts. Like, I really wish that whole Thailand incident hadn't happened and we could avoid having to approve everything. And Facebook, being the wonderful platform that it is, has added an additional security measure to where if you edit a post, we also have to approve that edit now, which is great until you have 20 edits for one post.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
All right.
That was me.
I
I did that.
But that's definitely the most frustrating and time consuming. One of the things that's most rewarding is being able to see people connect and find interest in the hobby, find something new that they didn't realize would spark joy, and being able to kind of see those friendships develop through random memory posts is really fun, and it's very encouraging whenever people talk about the SCA's dying, because the virtual world, I'm seeing it live and grow, and that's the best part of it.
Oh, well, sorry, I got a little distracted. I had to reset a password for someone.
It wasn't me this time.
No, it wasn't you this time. So what takes up most of my time? Resetting passwords. No, really, it doesn't. What takes up most of my time, a little bit, is basically reviewing all the websites. I need to make sure that all the disclaimers are there. I mean, I have my deputies to do that as well, but I want to kind of, put my hands on it as well. I think it's important because more sets of eyes, we can miss something. We're human. I don't expect my deputies to be perfect. As far as most frustrating, that's a tough one. I would say that getting people to use the technology that's available to them. We have a very robust set of apps that is afforded to us through G Suites, and we are not using them to the level that we could. We are currently using 0.18% of our storage capacity, and that's for the entire kingdom. We have entire sets of people that haven't logged in. And that, that's frustrating to me, because, it didn't take too terribly long to get everything set up because I have a fantastic team, but we've given you some wonderful, wonderful tools to help make your jobs easier and to make your communication with your kingdom level officers easy. So you can spend more time doing the fun stuff instead of, sorting through your own personal emails to find SCA related emails and that sort of thing. So that part is a little frustrating. What's most rewarding is when I actually see the people that are using the applications that are there and are telling me, hey, this really worked out well, and this is going to make my reporting so much easier. The Exchequer's office comes to mind. They have an incredibly difficult job, which I will never do. I will never do that job. God bless them all. They used to have to travel long distances to do book reviews. They used to have to use mail. With all this technology now, they have an easier way to review all the financial statements and things like that. It takes much less time and is much less stressful in that regard. It's still stressful because it's money. But yeah, that's seeing that people are getting the things out of it that they need is really what's very rewarding.
No, that's awesome. So that's the end of our regularly scheduled questions. So we're going to roll into the live feed questions, the questions from our audience, and we're going to start with one from Tyson, whose SCA name I just totally blanked on.
Pierce.
Pierce. From Pierce, which is, what are your plans? What is your plans for your office in the near future? What are your plans for your office in the near future?
Whatever the bod wants us to do.
Like, do you have any plans to grow your office, make it, take on new responsibilities, push something cool out to the populace? I know yours is Isabella is just to bail and let Genevieve take over.
Yeah, I basically bail in 2 weeks. It's your problem then. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, that's true.
Sure. I don't think so. Right now, it's kind of just making sure social media needs to be where it needs to be. Is basically, the main thing, and just making sure everything is just running smoothly on that front until, things try and get back to a semi-normal season, I guess.
Yeah. Social media for the next quarter will be getting Emelina settled, making sure she's comfortable, helping secure more deputies for the position to make sure she has proper support. Then I'm going to Disney World. No, then I'm going camping, actually.
Kayaking?
Yes, probably kayaking. I don't think we're going to go to the Smokies this year, but yeah. Taking a small break and then transitioning all of the Google Forms for our releases over into the G Suites platform under the Kingdom office instead of under me, so we can have everything consolidated and easier to access.
Plans for my office. Yeah, I need a drink. Okay. Plans for my office. The Kingdom page is getting a redesign. I announced that on Facebook. We've had some wonderful suggestions from the populace over the last few months about how we can improve things. And I welcome suggestions. Send them to me at webminister@meridias.org. We're going to make our website accessible to screen readers for those people that have issues with being able to see. Right now, it's not very helpful. We are absorbing pages that were office pages back to the Kingdom page. So the Herald's page will eventually become melded in. The Herald's page that's out there now is going to be on the Kingdom page. And the reason why we're doing that is because we've got a lot of redundant information, and sometimes the information is not reflected the same in both places. And the more places you put information, the more updates you have to do, and it's easier to miss something. And that is not something I'm cool with anymore, because of all the random stuff people send me. Hey, did you see this? No, I didn't, but I see it now and I will fix it. So there's that. There may be another deputy position opening. I don't know, but right now I have 2 special projects deputies and 3 regionals, and right now I'm kind of at capacity. So, but yeah, that's what we've got going on right now. And of course, the Shiv page is getting redesigned by Sir Eric and the Honorable Lord Owen. Sir Eric Griffin. Yes, not Sir Eric Martel, because technology bad.
Don't let Marcel touch your web pages.
So our next question comes from, pretty sure this is Owen McKenna.
Owen,
what is with those kilts? Good.
Just call him Clyde.
Clyde. It's from Clyde. How does the Kingdom review and approve new technology for official communications, and why don't we enforce pronounceable name regulations?
Most of our official communications, the bot approves first. Once we get the approval from the bot is when we can start using it at a Kingdom level. When it comes to like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, YouTube, things like that. So I don't know if that's really what you were looking for, but normally it has to come from the bot first before we can officially start using it.
Yeah, sometimes within our Kingdom social media officer group, the society officer will ask if anybody wants to test out a new platform. Like we had some folks or some groups playing around with TikTok on an official level to see if that could become a communication platform. Nobody within Meridies is demoing it, essentially, but we did do that for Discord and things like that. And essentially, if you want a new communication platform, just reach out and I will guide you through the process and getting things set up. We had Fourth Castle set up a new platform, and I'm on it with them just to make sure everything's on the up and up. But if you want something new, you want to start playing with YouTube with your local group, let us know and we'll help out.
So if you want to use something new, as far as the Webminister is concerned, for communication, I'm going to direct you to the social media office or the Kingdom Seneschal. That is not really my area as far as using different plugins to help you with your web page. That's something else. My suggestion on that is see how many people are actually using it. If there's a plugin where there's 100 people using it, I highly recommend you do not use a plugin for your web page that doesn't have a lot of users. That could be very, very bad. But that's really the communications for things like Discord, Zoom. Now we do have Google Meet that's available, which is very similar to Zoom, not as advanced as Zoom. That's attached to every officer's account. It's free. It's secure. You don't have to, I mean, you can invite people that are not a part of the organization to join your Google Meets as well. But if you want to have just a quick officer meeting with your people, schedule a meeting. You can send it to your people in your emails. It will automatically, you can have it set up to where it will have a thing on your Google Calendar, and it will have a link to a Google Meet, and you join on the day and the time, and it's really easy. That's how I get my information to my deputies.
Let's go to shout outs, Eric.
All right. This is where we normally do our shout outs to people in the kingdom and in other places who are doing virtual activities. Note I said virtual, and you're still on the show. We're still live. But tonight, we're going to take a moment to give a shout out to one of the most important people on our show, the big cheese, the chief enchilada, Roth Ulrich. So hopefully you will all join us in a round of happy birthday.
Oh, I hate you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Roth Ulrich. Happy birthday to you. And now you know why people don't ask me to sing. Now.
Platform.
If I can
We
get
love you.
Nicoslav to grab something out of the fridge, I have a surprise.
Ooh.
Oh, yes,
okay.
by all means.
I text him. We'll see if he'll do it or not.
So,
All right, we'll do shout outs while we're waiting.
Brandon, Genevieve, would you like to go ahead and kick us off then?
Oh,
Ellen DeLacy for being all around kick ass and always, oh no, tequila.
The last of the pomegranate. Because it's his birthday.
Anyways, Ellen DeLacy for always being 100% supportive of all things virtual, whether it be in Meridia's or any other kingdom in the known world. She has worked on many different projects with many different kingdoms, and it wouldn't surprise me if by the end of this she works with every single kingdom.
Beto, would you like to fill in now? Is the tequila?
I guess just my shout out is to anybody and everybody that's helped with social media and helped mold it into what it is today. You know, we've had a ton of people that didn't know what we were doing when we first started and just kind of flubbed our way through it. And so, you know, because of the people that took the initiative, you know, we are what we are. So, you know, thank you to everybody that's had their hand in it.
My shout out is to all the local officers, all the kingdom officers, all of you that are doing the work, that are putting in that work when even it, like, we're not getting a chance to go and do all the things that we love. Yes, we're still doing things virtually, and I think that's great, but we've been waiting and waiting for our time in the sun again, and it's coming. And I'm glad to see that people are getting vaccinated. I'm glad to see that people are, you know, being able to get those things. But I'm super proud to be in a kingdom where the officers are really putting their feet down and running with things and making sure that we stay current on things, so that way when it starts back up, we're ready to go.
My shout outs, we have three. First, the SCA Coaches Corner. If you guys want to stay, the fighters out in the kingdom really want to stay engaged. There's so many opportunities on that channel, from the classes that they give on Sundays, from Big Branos, to the shows they do on Friday, to the monthly breakdown shows with Duke Sean and Duchess Helga, are amazing tools for you to use. Please use those. A quick shout out to Between Two Peers, who have been doing a fantastic job of keeping engagement in the SC on the sort of out on the left coast. But they are absolute goals for what I want us to be able to do here. And finally, and certainly not least, I want to give a big shout out to our Kingdom social media team that covers, all three of you and all of your deputies and all the people that work real hard for you. And the service that you do to the Kingdom is inspiring and tireless and deeply, deeply appreciated.
Right. I'm going to piggyback on what Ulrich said, because, I wouldn't do it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'd just be like, nope, click. So I appreciate you guys for oftentimes dealing with the very worst of what is normally a bright and shining kingdom. And that can't be easy sometimes. Being one of the worst, I'm really apologetic.
All right, last chance. Is there anything that you wanted us to cover on this show that we may have missed or not have gotten to? Or do you get to say your piece on everything?
I'm good.
It's an open-ended option.
Rule number 1, don't be a dick.
Exactly.
Follow
That's a fantastic rule.
Don't make me come after you.
Hi, Nick.
You
have the patience of a saint, Isabel.
Don't be a dick on Facebook or any other social media or virtual platform.
You're here. Just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'd like to thank our guests, Baroness Genevieve, Baroness Isabella?
Honorable Lady Baroness.
Honorable Lady Isabella. Look, I'm old. I forget things. And
it's easy. She's wearing a hat. It's a beautiful hat.
I'm also old and blind. And Nick. All of that is not getting anything. And you're going to like it. But thanks so much for all of your time and effort. I'd also like to thank our support crew. I'm gonna start out with Jessica Vosbury again, in hopes that she isn't airmailing poison to me. But if she does, I deserved it. So I'm just gonna call it and fall over. I want to thank Mistress Adriana for her great scripts, Her Excellency Katerina, who's probably gone in halvesies on that poison by now, and Lord Kikuchi, who has probably bugged everything we work on and is keeping all of the stuff behind the scenes for blackmail later. I also, most importantly, like to thank you, our audience, because without you, we'd just be two even bigger idiots yelling at each other.
All right. So make sure you join us next Monday, March 22nd. We'll be discussing the Order of the Chalice with our most distinguished guests, Duke Baru, Countess Jane Falada, and Duke John the Dracula. Remember, all shows 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, or Central Daylight Time now.
Stop.
Finally, did you guys notice that I flinched when he said Baru? Well, if you're watching this live,
he's left-handed.
And God bless you. Give us like 5 minutes for a break, and then feel free to join us on Zoom for the after show, which will probably even be more ridiculous than the show. Well, at least it will from my point of view. Watch the live feed comments on Facebook for the link. We'll hang out and chat for about a half an hour after the show. Just have fun. Talk over whatever topics that you want to. You can literally bring up anything. Graf and Katarina will post it now.
So if we didn't get to some of your questions, they'll probably be able to answer them in the live feed or in the after show. So come join us there. Right quick before I get into the like and subscribe, I want to say that I know a lot of folks are tired of the SCA, but the reality is it's not going anywhere. It's made the SCA smaller. It's made the SCA better. It can coexist with the rest of the SCA just fine. I know some of you don't hear that. And I don't think it'll take over, but I think it should be a part of us going forward. All right. So finally, if you're watching the replay on YouTube, or actually it's not a replay, if you're watching YouTube or the replay, so for YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe down here, which I always have to remember this side because everything's reversed. Like and subscribe down here, smash that like button, and then in Facebook, like and follow up here, and give us some love so everyone can see us later. All right, that's it. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining us. Bye everybody.
Best, guys.
And if I die in battle, tomorrow I will be home, though it's 70 days march to there from Rome. But a soul travels swiftly on the night wind, and if I die in battle, I'll be home again.